A figure descend from the sky, slow, controlled, perfect. A cape draped in red, white, and blue, arms slightly out, like he's not just arriving, but presenting himself. The crowd erupts. They cheer. They smile. Some of them cry. Phones rise into the air, capturing the moment like they're witnessing something divine, something untouchable. They chant one name: Homelander, a hero, a savior, the man who keeps them safe. But here's the thing. That image, that moment, it isn't real. Because behind the cameras, behind the applause, the flags, the perfectly rehearsed smiles, there's something else. Something colder. We've seen it. The way his expression drops the second no one's looking. The way silence follows him when the room empties. The way power, without limits, starts to rot something from the inside out. There's no accountability, no equal, no one who can stop him. And deep down, he knows that. So the smile stays. The speeches get louder. The image becomes everything. Because as long as people believe in him, it doesn't matter what he really is. And that's what makes us dangerous. Because inside the boys, the truth isn't hidden. It's ignored. People don't just see a hero. They choose to. They choose comfort over truth, safety over reality, the idea of protector over the fear of what he might actually be. So this isn't a story about a hero. And it's not even really a story about a villain. It's about something far worse. What happens when the most dangerous person in the world is the one everyone wants to believe in? There's something strange about the way people respond to power. Not just respect it, but gravitate toward it, even when it's dangerous, even when it's clearly wrong. And that's exactly why someone like Homelander can still be admired, because at a certain point, people stop asking, is he good, and start asking, is he strong? And those are two very different things. If you really think about it, people have always been drawn to villains, not because they agree with them, but because villains represent something most people don't have the freedom to be. They're unapologetic. They don't follow rules. They don't ask for permission. They take. And there's a part of human nature, whether people admit it or not, that finds that appealing, because real life doesn't work like that. In real life, you have to hold yourself back, follow expectations, care about consequences. But villains, they don't. And that makes them feel powerful in a way that's almost intoxicating to watch. Now take that idea and combine it with someone who isn't just confident or rebellious, but completely untouchable. That's where Homelander becomes different, because he doesn't just act above the rules. He is above them. There's no higher authority, no real consequences, no one who can step in and say stop. And people can feel that. Even if they don't fully understand it, they sense it. And instead of rejecting it, a lot of them start to admire it. But here's where it gets darker. Because admiration doesn't come from ignorance. It comes from justification. Inside the boys, Homelander doesn't just do questionable things. He does things that should completely destroy his image. We're talking about letting innocent people die when it's inconvenient, using fear to control people around him, turning on his own team, without hesitation treating human life like it's disposable. These aren't gray area actions. They're extreme. They're the kind of things that, in any normal situation, would instantly turn public opinion against someone. And yet, that doesn't fully happen, because every time something cracks his image, it gets patched over, sometimes by the system, sometimes by the media, but most importantly, by the people themselves. People don't just ignore what is done. They reframe it. They say things like, he had no choice. You don't understand the pressure he's under. At least it's protecting us. And just like that, the narrative shifts, not because the facts change, but because the interpretation did. This is where the psychology really kicks in. Because once someone decides to believe in a figure like Homelander, they don't want to be wrong. Admitting the truth would mean admitting, the person I trusted isn't who I thought he was. And that's uncomfortable. So instead, people double down. They defend him harder. They ignore more. They become more loyal, not less. And then something even more dangerous happens. The line between fear and respect starts to blur. Because deep down, people know what he's capable of. They know he's unstable. They know he could turn at any moment. But instead of rejecting that, Some people start to see it as part of what makes him impressive. Think about that for a second. The same traits that should make him terrifying, his unpredictability, his lack of empathy, his absolute control, become the very reasons people look up to him. Because in a world where most people feel powerless, watching someone who answers to no one can feel strangely reassuring. And that's a contradiction at the heart of it all. People don't admire Homelander despite what he's done. In some cases, they admire him because of it, because it proves something. It proves that he can do whatever he wants, and still stand above everyone else, still be praised, still be followed. And once that idea sets in, morality starts to matter less and less, because the question is no longer, is he a good person? It becomes, is he someone worth standing behind? And as long as the answer to that feels like yes, as long as it's strong, visible, and positioned as a protector, then for a lot of people, that's enough. Inside the boys, that system is Vought. And Vought doesn't care about morality. It cares about control. Control of the narrative. Control of information. Control of how people feel about what they're seeing. Because the truth is, most people don't experience reality directly. They experience a version of it that's been filtered, edited, and packaged. And if you control that version, you control everything. Think about how Homelander is presented to the public, not as a man, but as an idea, a symbol. Every appearance is calculated. Every speech is rehearsed. Every camera angle is intentional. Is framed in front of flags, shot from below to look more powerful, placed in moments where he appears calm, confident, in control. Nothing is accidental. Even his human moments are engineered. When he smiles, it's for the cameras. When he connects, it's scripted. When he shows emotion, it's timed perfectly. Because the goal isn't to show who he is. It's to show what people want to see. And when something goes wrong, when cracks start to show, that's when the system becomes even more important. Because now it's not about building the image. It's about protecting it. Mistakes don't get exposed. They get buried, rewritten, explained away before people even have time to question them. And if something can't be hidden, it gets reframed, turned into something else, something acceptable. A failure becomes a difficult decision. A cruel act becomes necessary. A moment of instability becomes passion or pressure. Notice what's happening here. The facts don't change, but the story does. And people don't react to facts. They react to stories. So instead of seeing a dangerous, unstable individual, the public sees a hero under pressure. Someone misunderstood. Someone doing what needs to be done. And once that narrative is in place, it becomes incredibly hard to break. Because now, anyone who challenges it doesn't just question Homelander. They challenge the entire system behind him. And most people don't want to do that. It's easier to trust what's presented. Easier to go along with a version of reality that feels stable, that feels safe. But here's the part that really matters. The system doesn't just protect Homelander. It protects the idea of him. Because if that idea collapses, if people stop believing, then everything built around him starts to fall apart. The trust, the authority, the sense of security people rely on. So the system adapts. It evolves. It gets better at managing perception, better at controlling doubt, better at keeping people exactly where they need to be, just convinced enough to keep believing. And that's why, no matter what Homelander does, his image doesn't collapse the way it should, because it was never built on truth in the first place. It was built on something much stronger, something far more resilient, perception. And as long as that perception is controlled, he doesn't need to be a hero. He just needs to look like one. At a certain point, something shifts. It stops being about admiration. It stops being about inspiration. And it becomes something else entirely. Something quieter, more dangerous. Because the longer someone like Homelander stays in power, the more people start to realize something they can't ignore. He's not just protecting them. He's capable of destroying them too. And once that idea sets in, everything changes. Think about it. In the beginning, people cheer because they believe in him. They see a hero, a savior, someone on their side. But over time, the cracks get harder to ignore. The outbursts, the tension, the moments where something feels off. People start to sense it. Not always consciously, but it's there. That feeling that this person, this symbol they've been told to trust, is unpredictable. And when someone is both powerful and unpredictable, you don't just admire them. You become careful around them. Inside the boys, that shift is subtle, but it's constant. People still clap, still smile, still show support, but it starts to feel different, less genuine, more calculated, because now there's something underneath it. Fear. And fear doesn't always look like panic. Sometimes it looks like agreement, like going along with things you don't fully believe in, like staying quiet when something feels wrong. Because what's the alternative? Speaking out, challenging him, pushing back against someone who can't be stopped doesn't answer to anyone and has already shown what is capable of. That's not bravery. That's risk. And most people don't take that risk. So instead, they adapt. They laugh at the right moments. They support him publicly. They repeat the same narratives, not always because they believe them, but because it's safer to. And over time, something strange happens. That performance of loyalty starts to become real, because the more you say something, the more you hear it, the more everyone around you reinforces it, the harder it becomes to separate what you actually think from what you've been conditioned to accept. So fear doesn't just silence people, it reshapes them. And now you've got a situation where people might doubt him privately, but support him publicly. They might question him internally, but defend him externally. And from the outside, that looks exactly like loyalty, which only strengthens his position even more. Because support, real or not, still looks like support. Crowds still gather. Applause still happens. The image stays intact. And that's when admiration fully transforms into something else. Not love, not respect, but dependence. Because now, it's not just about believing in him. It's about needing him. People start thinking, if he's as powerful, if no one can stop him, then maybe it's better he's on our side. Even if that side feels unstable, even if it feels dangerous, even if, deep down, they're not sure he's on anyone's side at all. Because the alternative, a world without him, a world where that power isn't controlled at all, feels worse. So they accept it, they justify it, they adapt to it. And this is where the idea of a hero becomes completely distorted. Because now, being a hero isn't about doing good. It's about maintaining order, even if that order is built on fear. And once society reaches that point, it becomes incredibly hard to go back. Because the same fear that keeps people in line also stops them from ever breaking out of it. So Homelander doesn't just stay a hero because people admire him, or because the system protects him. He stays a hero because, at a certain point, people feel like they don't have a choice anymore. And that's what makes him truly untouchable. So when you put it all together, it's not just one thing keeping Homelander in that position. It's not just admiration. It's not just a system. It's not even just fear. It's all of it, working at the same time. People are drawn to power. They admire what they don't have. They are willing to overlook things if someone feels strong enough, important enough, necessary enough. Then you've got the system, shaping what people see, controlling the narrative, turning reality into something easy to accept. And when cracks start to show, fear fills the gaps. So now you've got a world where people want to believe in him. They are told to believe in him. And eventually, they feel like they have to believe in him. And that's why his image doesn't collapse. Because it's not built on truth. It's built on something much stronger. It's built on human nature. Because the uncomfortable truth is, if you put anyone in that position, unlimited power, total control of perception, no real consequences, you don't just get someone like Homelander. You get a world that allows someone like him to exist. And maybe that's the part people don't want to think about, because it's easy to look at him and say, here's a problem. But the reality is, he only works as a hero because people accept him as one, because they need him to be one. And once that need is there, once people rely on that idea to feel safe, it becomes almost impossible to take it away. So no, Homelander isn't a hero, but that doesn't matter, because in a world like this, being a hero was never about what you do. It's about what people are willing to believe. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more videos like this, looking at characters in a deeper way, not just surface-level stuff, then stick around. There's a lot more coming. And trust me, some of these characters get way darker than this.